Amid the long-standing trade war between China and the United States, the Chinese Vice President Han Zheng has met a U.S. delegation in Beijing. Following the meeting, he said that the relations between the two countries are at a critical historic juncture. Meanwhile, as per reports, the U.S. side said that the high-level track to dialogue between the U.S. and China will help both sides better understand each other and provide more useful ideas for the development of bilateral relations. China and the U.S. have had strained relations just 2 months into his second administration. President Trump re-escalated their trade war he began with China during his first term. After a series of tariff exchanges, Trump announced in April the most sweeping tariff hike on all U.S. trade partners since the 1930 Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, a law known for exacerbating the Great Depression. After global markets took a plunge, Trump issued a 90-day pause on all countries except China, which triggered another cascade of tariff retaliations from both countries. As of April 11th, U.S. tariffs on all Chinese goods stand at 145%, while Chinese tariffs on all U.S. goods are at 125%. While the U.S.-China trade talks have stalled for now, it would be too soon to pronounce a verdict on the trade row. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has indicated that high-level parleys between President Trump and President Xi Jinping may help in smoothing rough edges. These developments have underlined the primacy of technology and supply chains in the great power competition. Now we have guests joining us, Dr. Satoru Nagao. He's a fellow Hudson Institute from Tokyo, Japan. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us today. What does Han Zheng mean by calling China-U.S. relations in a critical juncture?
When we check the Trump administration tariff policy, indeed, what is the real intention of this policy included? Because tariff against Canada, Mexico, China was the first tariff Trump administration imposed in this year, but Canada's, Mexico's tariff postponed, and only China suffered this tariff. And the next 1 month later, the next chance came, only China increased the tariff, not Canada and Mexico. And in case of the new tariff, other tariff is also imposed on China only. So that's why the total amount of the tariff reached 145%. So that's why for the Trump administration, China is the main target of their tariff policy. So that's why it is relatively easy to expect that the tariff on China and tariff on other is different. Tariff on China is tool of the strategic competition. So that's why the Trump administration want to continue this high tariff. But at the same time, as a reality, it is impossible to continue such kind of the high level of tariff because both China and the US suffer this high tariff. So that's why they try to adjust the reality, and that's why they try to decline some percentage. So that's why now 30% it has changed. But long-term purpose is this is tool of the strategic competition. So that's why if they find a reason to rise again, anytime they try to do that. So that's this time they find the violation of the rule from the China side. That's why this is a good reason to legitimize the imposing high tariff again. So now they are negotiating as one kind of the ceasefire, but this ceasefire is not mean it will continue for a long period. This is just a temporary ceasefire, and it will be a high tariff. It will be the common high tariff.
And Doctor, building on the point that you're mentioning, to what extent is cooperation between the US and China essential for global development and peace? Like, how might this dialogue influence the broader Indo-Pacific power balance?
Last 250 years, the U.S. hasn't allowed any rival to survive. So that's why, yes, we can talk about cooperation to adjust the reality, but the long-term situation is more competitive than the cooperative something. So that's why to deal with or to exploit China's influence to the North Korea, Iran, or sometimes in the Southeast Asia, that yes, sometimes the United States need to cooperate with China, but this is just temporary. In the long run, for United States, this is competitive. China is the most serious competitor for the United States, so that's why we cannot expect low tariff or free trade between U.S. and China will recover. So this high tariff is a common situation, regular situation between U.S. and China, I think.
Although you've already mentioned that it might be very challenging for them to have good relations, according to you, can mutual respect and peaceful coexistence between China and the U.S. realistically coexist with rising tensions in the South China Sea and also Taiwan?
Yes, we can remember the strategic competition between U.S. and Soviet in the past that continued 45 years. So, view from this, the U.S.-China competition is also the long-term competition. Sometimes we can find detente, or sometimes one kind of ceasefire. So, but this is not mean U.S. generation is not competitive. So sometimes, for example, to prevent China's move in Taiwan, this is dangerous, and people expect 2027 is dangerous time. So now 2025, only 2 years from 2027. Under such kind of situation, to stabilize the situation, of course, they can be the cooperative, but at the same time, this is not meaning stable situation in the long run.
Thank you very much, Dr. Satoru Nagao, for joining us and sharing that insight. Now we move on to our next story.